Hello beer tubers and welcome to yet another Barley Wember themed beer review. We've got a couple more days left of Barley Wember and we're finishing with some hopefully heavy hitters. Today we're checking out two beers from Lervig and this is their 2020 and 21 Paragon. Paragon is originally one of the best barrel-aged barley wines in Europe. The 19 version was banging and insane. The 18 version was also fantastic. And I've tried to get every single vintage since, but I missed the 22 vintage that they released this year. But I have also a couple variations. I have the Off the Rack Paragon they released alongside the 2020 Paragon. And then I have the two ones they did last year, where one was rum barreled and one was barrel aged and one was maple syrup bourbon barrel aged. But we're going to get to them outside of barley wine. This is just, I'm trying to put a lot of focus on barley wine this month because I have a lot of barley wine and it's a month where people focus on barley wine. But this one will be interesting because there was a problem with the 2020 batch. A few bottles, a lot of the batch was infected. So people had bottles that were bad, but I also know a lot of people had bottles that were good. So we'll see about this one. They actually recalled most of this, but I did not do anything about it. I wanted to see if I was lucky. So it's a barley wine English style aged in bourbon barrels for 18 months. This is 2020 vintage, as I said, 12.6%. The 21 vintage is even stronger, 13.8%. And that's also aged in the bourbon barrels for 18 months. I love the label. Like, this one is a little bit more simplistic. I love the funkiness of this label. It looks great. I think they changed the name. I think it used to just be called Lervig Barley Wine. And then they changed the name to Paragon with the 18 release or something like that. Maybe it was just called Barrel Aged Barley Wine. I'm not sure. But we got both of them poured. Look at that. Let's start with the 2020, the supposedly infected. If you just compare, the colors are similar, but the 2020 has a slightly more dark head by the looks of it. But it could also just be because it looks a bit more tight. But yeah, it's a dark brown color, mahogany looking. There's some red notes in the bottom of the glass, maybe a little bit of rust orange. Let's check out the aroma on the 2020 Paragon, see if this bottle here is infected. I think so. This is interesting. It smells a bit like Madeira wine because it has the sourness of Madeira wine. Sourness, sweet honey, and fudge. And almost like, yeah, it almost smells a bit like tart mead meets Madeira wine, especially because Madeira wine has that sharp acidity to it. But I'm also getting a super weird note that reminds me of cabbage, like DMS, which is super weird. And also, before I even drink it, we gotta say massive thanks, Beer Dome. I forgot to do that just because I was excited about these. But Beer Dome supplied these. They actually supplied all of the Paragon beers I have had, I think, besides maybe one, because they get them every year. They also got the 22 one, but I was just too slow. Or maybe they still have it. I'm actually not sure. I thought it was gone. But yeah, it's a great web shop. I just even got more. I've got 2 boxes from them with lots of wild ale and other awesome fun beers to check out. One of them I'm really excited about. It's not going to be for Barley Wember, but we're going to dig into that sooner rather than later, probably with just Michael, because it's a smoked barley wine that's aged in rye whiskey barrels. Sounds awesome. But yeah, let's check this one out. Cheers, and thanks a ton to Beer Dome for the beers. Yeah, we're not going to bother with more of that. This is not what the brewer intended. Ooh, it is. Also, it feels boozy, warm, and it tastes like sour cabbage. There's something that reminds me of like sauerkraut in this. Cola and bourbon. I'm just going to go for another sip. This is one of the worst like infections. It's also got sulfur, like matchstick notes. Ooh, no. I don't even want to rate that. That's not what Lervig intended to do, and I know they can do better. This is not Paragon. This is just an unfortunate event. Let's move on to the 21. hopefully better. So pour is a similar color. As I said, the head looked a bit lighter. I actually think the color is a bit lighter on it. I was also surprised about the body on this. It's somewhat thin and fizzy. But yeah, it looks similar in the glass. It's more chestnutty brown than the other one. And they look exactly the same on camera, but having the light, this is definitely more brown, and this has got more reddish tones. But yeah, let's check out the aroma on the 21. Yeah, definitely different, but wow. I was actually expecting much more barrel character. Interesting. I'm getting lots of caramel, a little bit of tobacco, but it's not that like pop that you get usually with Paragon. It smells a bit mellow. There's a bit of a vanilla-y, marshmallowy note, but it could also be because it's not like crazy highly carbed, so you don't get that explosion out of the glass. Some warmth, some woodiness. It seems a bit underplayed, but let's give it a taste, see how it is. Cheers. Much better than this. Yeah, it's not exactly the same as the previous iterations of this beer. It is a bit more carbonated. It also feels drier. It's also stronger. Or what's the other ones? I can't remember the ABVs, but that will always vary because of barrels and everything. It's a little bit more to the dry side compared to what I remember from like 18, 19 vintages. Drier and more like just caramelly. There is a bit of leather and tobacco there as well. It's not just a pure fudge bomb, but I would want a bit more body to this. Like, it's still full, but it just finishes so much drier. It has like this dry woodiness and dry spirit kind of flavor. I definitely get more of the barrel on the flavor on the palate than on the nose. But it's no way near the wow experiences I've had with previous vintages of this. It's also like it's more charry, like really, like it's as if it wasn't a heavily charred barrel. I'm getting loads of charred wood, not the exact same layers that you can get from barrel aging. It's like the most dominant is flavor of wood and then a bit of whiskey. There is touches of vanilla in there as well, but lots of charred wood. I wonder if it's like the barrel they got for this batch for the 21. The barrels they were not as good, maybe, or fresh as the 18, 19. I don't know. Barrels are one of the biggest part in barrel aging. Like to me, the 18 and 19 could hold its own towards like some of the giants from the States. I don't think this can. I think this is a little bit subpar. By no means a bad beer. It's a nice barrel-aged barley wine. You got the warming whiskey flavor and the charred oak. I talked about the caramel. There's a bit of tobacco, a bit of fudge, but it lacks that like richness and depth. I think there's definitely some depth, but it's not the same amount as previous vintages. So I'm a little bit disappointed in this one, especially just because I have this beer in so high regard. But I think we're going to be in for a treat with the other variations because people really, really love them. I've seen. This is just a bit more like, it's good. It's really good. It's really well made barley wine. It's just not to that top tier that it originally was. So the 18 I was from Beardom. I gave that a 98. It also looks much darker in the thumbnail than this. And the 19, see if I gave that the same grade. 99. I like that even more. Wow. Well, that's not how I feel about this one at all. I'm not even thinking this is world class. Wow, what a drop. I couldn't remember actually, to be honest, that I gave it that high of a grade. I remember just really having it in extremely high regard. It's still really good, but it's just lacking the same levels of complexity and depth and also sweetness actually. It doesn't necessarily need to be much sweeter, but that richness and sweetness that those older vintages had, not there at all. Disappointing experience with both. one being infected. I was prepared for that, but I was not prepared for this being so different compared to previous ones. But it's not a bad beer. It's great still. I mean, I'd probably go with like 92, 93 maybe. 92, I think. It's a nice barley wine, for sure. It's just not like that world-class top tier mark. Which is a shame, because all the other like ones have been. So if you guys had a chance to try Paragon 2020, 21, let me know what you thought of them. Hopefully the new iterations will be better. Let's see all the other ones I have. And as always, remember to comment, subscribe, check out the Facebook fan page and Twitter and Instagram. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Ring the bell for future notifications about videos. And I want to say cheers in what I think is the best of the two, the 21, of course. And see you guys in another beer review for Barley Wimber, the final